Everyone, welcome to this week's episode of ThinkTank Thursday. I am Candi Kelley and excited to be spending this time with you. On Thursdays, Trainertainment likes to take a little bit of time away from the doing and spend a little time thinking about our businesses and all of the things that affect the day-to-day runnings of them. So today we have a great guest, but first, I have to give a shout out to our 2021 digital sponsors. You see them on the side there. We've got People First, Schaefer Distributing, Embed, Expert Hosiery, Creative Works, Party Center Software, Hagar Communications, SimKnox, and today's guest actually comes from one of our sponsors. They come from Redemption Plus. So why don't you take a few minutes, tell everyone who you are, what you do at Redemption Plus, and a little bit about Redemption Plus.
Awesome. Thanks, Candi. My name is Josh Adkins. I am an account manager with Redemption Plus. I've been here for a little over 4 years. I work with customers all over the country, from small, one spot locations to multinational chains, and everything in between. So Redemption Plus, just a little history on us. We've been in the industry for 20 years now, over 20 years now. And we do a lot more than just sell product. Obviously, we have a wide variety of tchotchkes and items for you, but we also do full redemption design for the redemption room or any sort of entertainment rooms that are, could be adjacent to it. And we have a lot of training materials as well around the redemption space, and really just try to empower our customers to, take control of the redemption space and not just sell product and move on. So really trying to make it a whole, positive ecosystem for our customers and their end customers as well.
Awesome. And you guys have a pretty active YouTube channel too, where you guys are always putting out what the hottest things you have in stock are for the week.
That's right. Yeah, we do a segment called Eyes on the Prize. So we try to do it weekly or every couple of weeks whenever it makes sense, and just try to highlight the new products that we have coming in, or maybe something that people aren't quite as aware of that's kind of taken off, like the bubble poppers when that was kind of first happening, making sure everyone was aware, and that type of thing. But yeah, it's been a really fun segment that Megan does every week or so.
I have to tell you, those fidget type toys, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and we still have to seek out the fidget type toys. We just stopped at a Cracker Barrel on our way back from vacation last week. And of course, she scoured their little store and found these little ramen noodle stretchy things, and yeah, it's a collection.
You go to Target or Walmart, and there's still just all sorts of varieties of them, and just I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon with the bubble and the fidget. They're going to just find a new way to change it up.
I know. They remind me of old school redemption. Remember those yo-yo things that were stretchy, but they weren't really yo-yo. They weren't real yo-yos, but they called themselves like yo-yo things, and they had the little tentacles on it, and it was on a string.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of that and the puffer balls, which were about 10 years ago. They came out initially, and now it's like this fidget has made a resurgence of those kind of toys. So interesting to watch those trends. Well, I asked Josh to come on because I have interviewed Megan before in the past, and she alluded to this customer archetype thing that Redemption Plus has built and created. And if you listen to them in other webinars or listen to Mike Tipton ever talk or whatever, they will always make references to these titles of these customer archetypes. And I thought it would be great to dive into that so that you guys know, because they've done the research, who it is that's getting redemption stuff from your store. And so Josh, I'm going to turn it over to you. And it's my understanding there are 4 types, right? So what are those 4?
Yeah, so the 4 types are impulse, trader, saver, and super saver. So the way that we've defined these are the impulse buyers are typically going to buy or redeem prizes in the 5 to 250 ticket range. So that's going to be your, typically your bin items, your smaller type items. The trader, they're going to redeem anywhere from 251 up to 1250. And we can go into detail in just a little bit about the different products there that would fit in. So they're looking at a little bit more higher end items there, maybe some wall items. And then you've got the savers. They're looking at 1251 to about 3750 for the ticket range. So they've probably come in multiple times. They've saved up. They probably have something that they're looking for. And they're spending a little bit more money trying to get that item. And then lastly, you've got the super savers. So these are items 3,751 tickets and above. So your high-end items, These people are most likely coming in multiple times and saving up. Rarely are these redeemed within just one visit. So this is something that someone has seen something on the wall that they're trying to attain, and they're coming in over and over again.
Do the levels correlate at all with like ages? Because like I mentioned a bit earlier, I have a 9-year-old. There's no way she's ever going to save up for the super saver. Like she needs that instant gratification out the door.
Yep, definitely. So the impulse is definitely going to skew much younger. So they have less money, right? You're giving the 5-year-old probably a different amount of tickets to spend or money to spend than the 15-year-old. And also, there's less skill that they have for the game. So they're going to wind up with just a few tickets. So they're looking at the bin items. They're looking at the, just the small items they can grab right away. And then, as you move up, you're definitely going to see the age range kind of follow that as well. So as the kids or young adults have more money, more time, and more skill to play the redemption games, they're going to be able to, acquire more tickets for those prices.
Awesome. Are there any other noticeable traits that really differentiate between these that you see?
Yeah. So, you brought up the different age groups, and although that is kind of the way it usually goes, you are going to see some overlap too. I mean, you're going to see the adult that comes in and just plays with their kids as well, and they end up with 100 tickets or something like that, right? So there's a lot of, crossover there. So when you look at some of the items that work on the lower end, it kind of, you do still want to try to hit multiple age ranges, and like candy is always a good item. Everybody loves candy of all ages, right? So that's something that kind of does well no matter what category it's in or what kind of price point, because no matter who you are, most people like candy. So
so when we're looking, we have these 4 very defined types. What are some tips for catering to each type of player? And it can be anything from how you position things in your redemption area. In a minute, we'll talk about the top prizes for each one of the levels. But outside of like making sure you have those top prizes, what are other ways that you can cater and make sure you hit a little bit of each one of those archetypes that you're discussing?
Sure. Yeah. So starting with the impulse, the bin items, we always recommend when you lay out your bin items that it's in numerical order. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20, that type of thing. And if you want to, do it all in numerical in one case and then switch it up in the next case. So it's, that's fine. But when you walk into a center and there's a 20 ticket item over here, 20 ticket item over here, and it's all over the place, being that these are the littler kids, they're going to just frustrate the parents trying to find what they're trying to buy. But if the parents know, okay, you have 50 tickets, you can just look right here. This is your section, right? So that just helps, keep the parents happy, keep all of your guests happy, keep people moving in and out. This is the last place a lot of times people are going to your center, and you don't want them frustrated, leaving your place upset just because they couldn't shop correctly because of your layout. So,
and with those littles, 100 tickets is like $100. I've worked in operations before at the redemption counter, and it's like they'll hold something and be like, actually, no, can I switch that for this thing? Like it's a big decision for them. So it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, they might get 20 different 5-ticket items, if they can. So they're going to go up there and shop. And I mean, they don't have a lot of shopping experience, right? So they're definitely going to take full advantage of it. So so for the bin items, that's what kind of a way to target that. When you get to the trader and the saver, those kind of overlap, but those would be, that's something that we would recommend, theming on the wall, put all of your blasters in one section, all of the lights in one section. Again, it's about the shopping experience, right? So when you're at the grocery store, all of the dairies in one section, all the cereals in one section, makes it easier to shop. So same thing here in this retail environment. When people go in there, they want to, if they're dead set on this Nerf blaster, they don't want to be looking all over your room for the Nerf blasters, right? So same thing kind of goes there, but with more on the theming than the ticket value.
Got it.
And then with the super saver, that's always an interesting category, because it is higher end items, and it really kind of depends on your demographic and kind of who's coming into your area and what they like. These aren't items that you would necessarily buy too deep into because, they're not getting redeemed that often. So this would be something more, you kind of do a little trial and error here, bring in a few different items and they're usually up top and kind of bring people in. And, I would recommend just getting feedback from customers type of thing. And if you see stuff sitting there too long, or if customers seem kind of, you see someone with a lot of tickets, but they're having trouble buying something, maybe ask, what are you looking for? Is there something that, you're looking for, or you're wanting? Because I've had customers that, they don't necessarily carry this item from us, but then they know that we do have it. And a customer will come in and say, hey, do you have a popcorn machine or whatever? And they'll order it special for them. So, kind of with these super savers, I think it's more kind of getting the customer feedback and seeing what they're interested in, what they're trying to obtain.
Now, I was told in my operation days that like you said, you don't have as many super savers. You're not going to move those items quite as often. But in displaying your redemption, whether it's a store or a wall or whatever it may be, it is important to have those big things, because a lot of times, even the other lower levels of archetypes, they may want the bicycle or they may want the PS4, but they'll settle once they get the amount of tickets because they're not going to save it. But it's those big items sometimes I was like, ooh, I want to go play so I can get whatever.
Yeah, exactly. They walk in there and they they're not sure, they can't do the math in their head right away, but they know that, or they think that they can get that PS5 that day or whatever, so they want to play for that, or they want to, and you're right, and then they'll settle for something lower if that's what they end up with. But it definitely helps drive people in and make people realize that there's quality items in that room, and there's quality stuff to be redeemed.
Before we move on to the types of prizes, I want to talk about the redemption area in general and just some tips for attraction, and that, like, making people look at it. It is like a store, so dusting your items every so often. I used to tell my franchisees that, you work in redemption, some of those things can come all packaged up in this little thing, and you have no idea what's in that bin because of how it gets delivered to the locations just for shipping purposes. I would say pull the bin back and open the little characters and place them in front of the bin so they can at least see, what is that thing that they're trying to win. Any other tips that you have like that, just for the display and how the room looks?
Yeah, definitely. The biggest components are, cleanliness, like you said, dusting off. I know it's tough to stay on top of it, but, or the kids are in there touching the display cases, getting fingerprints everywhere. And, we've all walked into a retail store setting that was, kind of less than ideal. And, you don't necessarily want to spend your money in there or be in there a long time. So, the same thing goes for a center or a redemption area, right? So if it doesn't seem like it's been kept up or anybody really cares, then, the customers aren't gonna be excited to go in there. So, definitely treating it like a retail store, making sure items are faced and, straight lines. You want to have your plush, if they're in their baskets, you want all the plush facing out. If you notice, when, kids actually make a connection with inanimate, characters with the eyesight. So like if you go down the cereal aisle, a lot of the cereal on the top shelf, the characters are looking down off the box because they're looking down at the kids. They make that connection. And so the same thing goes with the plush. They lock eyes with the plush from across the room rather than just a jumbled mess, of the fabric over there. So that, and, just, overall lighting, making sure that it's well presentable, people can see what they're looking for, and smaller items are displayed, and everything, like you said, that they can see what they're actually getting is most important.
I think that plush tip is really good. I have a 4-year-old as well, and inanimate objects can be her best friend right now. Like we're in that stage where she's like, oh, that's my best friend. So, you could just have a big, thing where you just throw them in there, but them looking at their faces, I had never even really thought about that. That's a really good tip.
Yeah, we use that same thing, like, in the crane machine. Sometimes you'll go in and people have just dumped the product in there. Whereas when we try to set up, we set it like a stadium style. So all the characters are facing forward and you still get that, that eye line there.
Awesome. And also I would suggest use a Redemption Plus, or if you're going with somebody else, whatever, but they know the science behind how to set up a redemption room, because I've gone to some that have been set up on their own and they try to cram as much stuff in there. And if you're doing a retail store, like you just said it a minute ago, it's like the last place your group is going before they exit the building. And so you could have done everything right and all the rest of your family entertainment center, and then let a parent get really frustrated in the redemption store. That's the last memory that they're going to walk out with. And so like making sure that there's space for the kids to look, for the parents to walk around, especially if you have a store-like environment, or if you're doing lines at a counter, making sure that there is a system for where, you know, you're helping one person after another, so people don't feel like that they are overlooked or, you know, standing in line too long there. So use Redemption Plus for setup. They can help you with all of that stuff.
Yeah, just to touch on that real quick. You know, obviously we always recommend making sure your wall is full and your room is full. But, you know, there is a line where you can have too many SKUs and too much. You know, when you're overloaded and there is a stimulus overload, then it does make the shopping experience a little tougher, and it makes it tougher for your employees to manage that many different products week in and week out. So there is some data that we can definitely use to help figure out what that kind of sweet spot is for you for product wise.
Oh, that's awesome. Because I'm sure it varies based off of your throughput, your capacity levels, and all of that, what that sweet spot is for those SKU numbers. So now the fun part. So if I'm looking at these different 4 categories, what are some of those top prizes that I should really make sure I have in my collection?
Yeah. So for the impulse items, 5 tickets to about $250, mostly bin. You're looking at right now, kind of our top items are going to be playing cards. Those always do well. Disappearing ink, that's a long-term staple that'll always be around, I think. Also along with that are the soldier figurines, the army men.
With the parachutes?
Not with the parachutes. We have those as well. Those are a little higher up in ticket value, but these the little 10 ticket guys. And then airheads and pretty much any kind of candy does really well. You know, the Tootsie Rolls, the flavored Tootsie Rolls, any of those kind of bin candies just do really well. And then the Splat Pigs. The Splat Pigs are a newer, you know, but I think they're a staple as well. These are a 100 ticket item. So, you know, they're less than $1 type thing. But if you sometimes in the Christmas season, I've gone to the mall and they have a booth selling these Splat Pigs like for $3 or $4 a piece. And it's just like, this is crazy. Like, I think it costs them, you know, 50 cents. But yeah, so those would be the top items for our impulse category.
I've never heard of a Splat Pig. After this recording, I'm going to go to your website and check out what that thing is.
Yeah. So it's like, it's made out of that material, that kind of same sticky hand material that is filled with water. So when you throw it, it splats out and kind of sticks to the table. But yeah, definitely check those out. The kids, every year for Christmas, I'm able to bring, you know, some good amount of toys to the cousins and the nephews and nieces. And they always pass up the Nerf and go right for the Splat Pigs every time. Like they're, yeah.
Before you move from impulse, I have just a operational question. Usually we always say 5 to about 250 and everything starts at 5. What does Redemption Plus say about having like a 1 ticket item? When I was in operations, my franchisees did, but it was our own sticker. Like they would take a roll of our stickers and cut them up and it would be in this 1 ticket item bin, so that when the littles, you know, they would do an odd amount, or they'd end up with just a couple, or they earned an odd amount, they wouldn't walk away empty handed if they only had like 4 tickets or something.
Yeah, so, you know, we have a built-in kind of currency exchange rate that, you know, does the calculations on the website. So based on what the cost is and the markup. So we don't necessarily have too many items or many items in that price point that would mark up to a penny, you know, being that low. But we do have customers that, you know, like you said, either like a sticker or some smaller items, or even I've seen customers do our Tootsie Rolls, which should be a 5 ticket item. They just do it as a 1 ticket item and technically might be a little bit of a loss leader there. But like you said, it gives them another option if they're just, you know, 1 ticket short, that type of thing. So,
and that's typically catering to those really littles who don't understand the concept of the shopping anyway.
Yeah, I think it's more, you know, after you have customers coming through kind of realizing, okay, we do have a lot of littles coming in and they do end up with these odd amounts. Let's figure out a way to make sure that they're happy. So yeah, definitely an option if that's what you're seeing. Okay.
All right, moving up to the trader.
All right, the trader. So our top items there are a dart blaster. So any kind of, you know, the generic type Nerf blasters, any of those do really well with the darts. The metal handcuffs do really well. I think it's just something that they don't see, very often. It's not on the shelf at Walmart really or anything. It's kind of a unique carnival type item, Then we've got the color changing glitter ball, just a small little glitter lamp type item. Then the 20-inch mesh kickball. So these are they're about $11.50. They're a large kickball that you would put above usually of your redemption area, but they come in really bright colors and they just really grab the eye and they're really fun looking. And then the samurai swords. Samurai swords are just another staple. They're usually around 350 tickets, and they just it's hard to keep those on the shelf.
What strikes me after we've gone through these two lists is how many of these are really like traditionalist type of redemption items, from playing cards to army men to the samurai swords. Like those seem to be the true staples.
Yeah, there are a lot of these core products that just stay true. And what's interesting right now, and we can get into more later with the supply chain, but we're seeing a lot of even though these are still our top items, there's a lot of new items kind of coming in, and it's kind of interesting to see, is it, is that real? Is that going to stick around, or are people just excited right now because certain things are out? But yeah, it seems like some of these core items are just, year in and year out, they're in the top.
They're like the classics there.
Right.
All right. So, and you said those kickballs kind of stay above, and so they are bright in color. So it's another one of those things, bring attention, have it colorful, make it look attractive to the people coming in. So after Trader, we have the regular saver, right?
Yep. We got the saver, and this is going to be your $12.51 to $37.50 ticket range. And so here you see a lot of the kind of lights. The lighted up is our category that we is what we call our lights there. So this is gonna be like our metal motion lamp, which is gonna be like your generic type of lava lamp. The plasma ball, the one where you can kind of put your hand on it and the little lightning, attracts to your fingers. The disco lamp. So it's got the multicolored lights, and you plug it in, and fills the room with the different colored lights. And then you're also going to see in this section the neon APs, the 29-inch, so the big, like the gorillas, the neon gorillas.
Oh,
yeah. So those have been a staple for us for a long time. It's just, I think it's it's that bright color, and a lot of times those either oversized or miniature products seem to do really well in redemption, just because it's something it's unique. You just don't see it very often going to a Walmart or Target type thing. Mm-hmm. And then lastly in that category would be our Cyber Shot Pop Shot. So it's a little blaster that shoots like ping pong balls. So there's different versions of it, Moon Blaster and that type of thing, but it's kind of a little bit bigger of a blaster that fits in that category.
All right. Interesting that there's so many light up things. So here's you're getting to like the batteries and the electrical stuff is what it seems in this category. You're kind of crossing over from not needing that to needing batteries or to be able to plug it in.
Right. You've kind of seen that upgrade there.
So in displaying some of these things, like the lava lamp, the plasma bulb, like we just said, some of it needs electricity and batteries. So do you suggest going ahead and putting batteries to a display one, or making sure you have some electricity running right there so that you can plug things up for?
Definitely. Yeah. Whenever we're there setting up, we always make sure that there's a section where we can put a shelf of lights, and it's easy to access the any electrical outlets, that type of thing. Because we have seen customers that, the lights don't move for them, and you go to their center and they don't have them displayed. So it's tough to sell it when the customer really can't see it in action. So we always recommend having, at least one shelf of the lights, on and lit up, so customers can, kind of see what they do and see what they're playing for.
Awesome. All right. To the biggest category, which is the hardest to stock for probably, but you need these items. So what are those things we should have for the Super Savers?
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting mix here. So, right now our top items are lava lamps, so the actual branded lava lamps. So those are going to be a little bit higher in ticket price, around $4,000 to $6,000, depending on the style. And then also what's done really well recently are like popcorn machines and cotton candy makers. We've got a hot dog grill type thing that heats the buns and everything in it. And then also in this category, you're going to see like Lego sets and RC cars, the Monopoly games, the different branded Monopoly games, and then also that oversized plush that'll kind of usually hang up on top of the wall type of thing. That's, you know, the really large over 30-inch type plush. But there's also, you know, all over the place, you know, we see, I've seen customers use kayaks, shark vacuums, you know, Xboxes, PlayStations, that type of thing. Those get pretty high up there. But those are always something good quality product, you know, name brand recognition to put up on the wall. So yeah, that's, you know, that's one you just kind of got to play around with and figure out what kind of works for your customers.
In this category, when before Trainertainment, I worked for a franchise system that had a couple of franchises across the country. And I had one of our franchisees that was partnered with a GameStop. And so what was on display for them was empty boxes. It was an empty Xbox. It was an empty PSM. And then once that was actually won, they just called the GameStop and was like, hey, let me pay for this over the phone, or I have somebody coming, or they would send an employee to go pick it up real quick. So they never actually had the product on their wall because of that partnership they had on the back end there.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I've had a customer in the past that did the same exact thing. They just went to GameStop and was able to get empty boxes from them, and that way they didn't have to invest in it. But the customer didn't know any different, you know, and they just needed, there's a quick, you know, a small delay in getting the actual product for them. But yeah, I didn't have that initial upfront, you know, multiple hundred or thousands of dollar investment. So
I know, and that's good because, you know, you never know when one of those gaming systems is going to come out with the next model one, and then you're behind.
Exactly.
I like the idea of like kayaks and just random stuff that you can't get. Also, those are interesting, and just for display purposes in some areas, if you can hang it from a wall, like if you have a ceiling above you or something like that, it could be very cool to look at.
Yeah, like a lot of times, if you got a redemption room, there's usually space outside the room to display these big pieces, you know, and kind of bring the people into the room. You know, if your redemption doesn't have a great line of sight, you know, they can see that prize from far away and realize, you know, where the prize room is.
Very cool. So yeah, like I said, I'm struck by how much of this is just really like the staples and have been around for a long time. I know that there are some trends, and like we mentioned, Redemption Plus does a YouTube video if you want to see what this week's trends are right now. Like Megan, it will keep you up to date for all those poppers and fidget toys and all of the things that are out there that are in stock for Redemption Plus at that moment. But, you know, this is really interesting information. And so I just can't help but to think about how locations could use this type of information in other ways to enhance the whole experience of redemption. Like, how do you cater to each one of these kind and make it that end, you know, it's the end of visit, like we've talked about multiple times, make it as good as it can be, knowing this type of information already.
Yeah, I think, you know, you got to use your gut a little bit, but you have to look at the data, right? And you have to see what people are actually buying and actually redeeming. So, you know, we've had customers in the past when they first open, they tell us, you know, we're going to cater to young adults. People are going to be in here, you know, drinking, having a good time. So we want our redemption room full of adult items as much as possible, right? And so, you know, we set them up that way. And after a while, they realize that that crowd is coming in, but they're oftentimes bringing their children or younger siblings. So they are getting a pretty heavy mix of the kids playing as well. So they had to kind of switch around their product mix and cater more to the younger crowd than they originally thought. So I think after, you know, seeing the data, knowing what's actually being redeemed, you can kind of, you know, skew more to that. So if you do start seeing customers come in, you know, towards the higher end or the older crowd, you know, you can offer, you know, drink specials in the redemption area, whether it's alcohol or not. You can still offer, you know, free sodas or food or that type of thing that, you know, the young adult to adult would be more interested in than the kid, right? And then, you know, vice versa, if you see that you've got a younger crowd in there, you know, utilize the space, you know, in your arcade area, whether you're displaying plush like above the arcades, or you've got a candy display like outside of the redemption area to draw them in. So yeah, you know, I think it really helps uncover who your real demographic is, and then kind of just cater those products, you know, throughout your whole center to that crowd.
Interesting that you say that about the mix of like some olders. I have a client that brought in a lot of promo stuff too. Like they already were making t-shirts and hoodies and some other things because they're really establishing their like a brand in the community.
Right.
And they put some of that stuff in their redemption area and, you know, switch that out every so often. And it's all logoed, branded stuff.
Yeah, we see a lot of customers that do the branded stuff as well. I know there's one customer that has a small redemption room of just their branded stuff only. And then they've got another room, you know, of these types of prizes. So yeah, those seem to do really well. And it's always, you know, it's got your logo on it. It's a constant reminder. They've got that tumbler in their cabinet, and every time they see it, you know, it's got your logo on it. So it's also, you know, a really good product selection to put in there.
Awesome. You know, lastly, I can't let you get out of ThinkTank without talking a touch about the supply chain issues that are out there. And right. I know that you can't wait till those are over, but it seems like they're going to stick around for at least the first half of 2022. So what tips do you have for navigating the challenge that we're all being affected by?
Yeah, and it, you know, people know it's hitting all industries right now. It's not just redemption or entertainment industry, it's everywhere right now. And it is getting better, you know, each day and each week we see a little bit more, you know, improvement, but there's just so many different layers to it, from ordering something overseas to it getting here and getting finally to our location and to your location. So, you know, I think right now it's an opportunity to kind of think outside the box and try new stuff. You know, that's definitely what we're doing. We're adding a ton of new items, some stuff we've never carried before, you know, going deeper like in backpacks and puzzles and stuff like that we don't traditionally have. And I was talking to a customer last week that we'd been out of samurai swords for a while. They'd gotten some in, got them back up on the shelf, but for a couple of weeks they weren't moving because everybody had gravitated to the other new products that, you know, they'd never seen before. So even though it was a staple, and I think eventually it'll start getting redeemed again, everybody would kind of, you know, gravitate to the new shiny things. So I think right now it's just an opportunity to try new stuff, new products, new layouts, you know, also, you know, maybe just rearrange your wall. And that, even though you don't necessarily have something new, it might look new to the customer, right? They never looked at that section and saw that item. So, you know, just switching stuff up right now until you can actually get, you know, everything you want, which hopefully next year it's in a better place, but it's just kind of slowly getting back there.
It is, you know, encouraging to hear that you see it improve, even if it's just a tiny amount week after week. So.
Yeah, I mean, our delivery times are getting shorter, just slowly, but still nowhere near where we were a couple years ago with, you know, reliability in the supply chain.
And I just read newswise that they last week they decided that the ports over in Los Angeles, the two main ports there, are going to start running 24/7, which they were not doing previously. So hopefully that will make some improvements as well.
Yeah, I saw recently this week that they're considering getting the National Guard involved to try to help out at the ports. Like, that's how dire it is to the whole, you know, American economy. Like, it's, you know, every retail outlet is feeling, you know, this supply chain breakdown right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do also have a signature question, Josh, and it's pretty easy. It's our signature question for every guest that comes on is, what are you doing right now to help yourself grow and or others grow? So for instance, it could be, what are you reading, what are you listening to, is there some other any answer that you want, but what are you doing on a consistent basis to grow yourself and others?
I think me personally right now, just before I app, I'm trying to get out and see as many customers as I can just in person. Mm-hmm. You know, now that we've kind of been in a place where we can travel again, last week I was able to visit over 20 customers over a few days driving down the East Coast. So for me right now is just trying to stay in touch with customers, and especially those on-site visits really, you know, make a difference. You can kind of, you know, connect better and see what's really going on. So for me, just getting out there and seeing how things are actually doing on the ground has really helped me figure out, you know, kind of what the next steps are for everybody, and kind of where we sit as a whole. So yeah, I just like getting out there and you know, meeting the people, you know, face to face, and you know, seeing what their center looks like.
Much respect for that, because it is, you know, That's why we are partnered with someone like Redemption Plus, because there are a lot of vendors that may shy away from visiting customers right now because of the challenges that are out there, and the tough questions that I'm sure you got asked at different locations about what does the future hold for this. But yet you guys don't shy away from it, and those are the type of partners we always like to have.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Josh. If people are interested in learning more about any of the things we talked about today, where can they find you?
You can go to redemptionplus.com to check out all of our information, and we have our contact info there. You can find my information. It's jadkins@redemptionplus.com. If you want to email any questions, anything I can do to help out, feel free to reach out for sure.
Awesome. Again, thank you. I find this information and these kind of data sets about different types of customer archetypes so fascinating, and thinking about the ways that they can cross over with what people may know marketing wise as well, just for their target demographic and marketing, and making sure that it all comes together, because the more data you have about the people you serve, the better you can serve them, right?
Definitely.
All right. Thank you to everyone else for spending this time with us this week. Again, thanks to my 2021 digital sponsors, which is inclusive of Redemption Plus. They rock, and they're the reasons why these episodes are coming to you guys every single week. If any of you want to be a guest on ThinkTank, you can come chat with me. It's a lot of fun. You can email Josh. He'll tell you it's not that bad. It's fun to do. But until next time, everyone, we'll see you.